Bonjour, good morning, good afternoon, all depends where you're in the country. I am pleased to see that we have 20 people interested in Kata being certified as Kata judges. This is the first Kata judges seminar that the National Grading Committee is running. So I hope you will be not too hard on us. In order to proceed properly, we need you to mute your microphone. You will see that this seminar is in 3 parts. The first one is a PowerPoint. The second part, we will work around videos on the Nage no Kata. You have to remember that this seminar is only on Nage no Kata. We're planning later on to do Kata me no Kata and the other katas. So, and the third part is the exam. The exam, you all received the link to go to edbase.net. The exam is 20 questions, multiple choices. Each question, the choices are the same. Is it a small mistake, a medium mistake, a big mistake, a forgotten technique, or there is no mistake? So for you, it's easy. You have 5 options. As soon as you log on to the exam, and you have between I'm talking about Eastern time, Montreal time, you have between 1:30 till midnight to log on to the exam. Once you log on, you have 30 minutes to do the exam. So after you log on, 30 minutes after, the system closes. Later this week, you will receive the results of your exam. So you all received the grid telling you if you're 12 points and over, you'll be certified National C, B, or A according to your results. If your result is 10 or 11, we will get in touch with you for an oral exam on 3 questions. If you succeed that oral exam, then you'll be promoted National C. If you have under 10 out of 20 on the exam, you will fail, and you will have to wait 6 months before you can redo it. As you know, that need to be certified comes up from the syllabus, the 2021 syllabus, who mentions that by 2023, all grading judges need to be certified nationally. Once you're certified, you cannot lose your level. So if someone is attending today because they want to hear more about Kata judging and is already National A and does the exam, even if their result is lower than a National A, they are National A. It's like when you're a bachelor degree, you have a bachelor degree. You're not going back because you don't remember the questions or you don't remember all the stuff you learned when you were at college. So what do I have to, that session is recorded. So you have to know that if you don't want nobody to see your face, you can close your camera, your video, but we wanted this session to be recorded. We'll have one in 3 weeks from now in French. What else did they have to tell you?
If you have any questions during the PowerPoint, please address them through the chat. Kelly will read the questions and let me know what, and we'll answer your questions as we go along.
Yes.
Quick question from Alan McDonald. Can we record this clinic?
It is being recorded.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you get in touch with Judo Canada with Nicolas Brisson, there is a possibility to get the link and to get the seminar. Monsieur Gérald? You're on.
Come on, eh? Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. Don't hesitate to ask your questions throughout. Again, use it through the chat. And again, Kelly will address me and let me know that there's questions being asked. We will try and be as clear as possible. The first part of this PowerPoint will be on the grading board, especially for the grading board and how to grade people using the new syllabus and everything else. Then the second part will be for the kata judges. On this first part, since Kelly and Danielle are members of the grading board, if there's any questions, I may direct them, or probably will direct them, these questions to them. But and the rest of them, well, I should be able to answer. If not, there is a problem. All right, so let's get started. So this is for the members of the provincial grading board, open to all of those that have been keen and interested in kata, to those that have working knowledge of kata, and to those that want to improve their kata. So like Danielle said, this main session here is basically for those that are on provincial grading boards to bring them up to speed. Also, there are members that are already kata judges and just wanted to get a refresher on it also. So it wasn't open at large to the public. We will be hoping to give one later on that will be open more to the public itself. So the outline will be, one second, I gotta, oops, sorry. So I can see everything here. So we're gonna talk general information for grading boards, kata and grading board judges guidelines, kata scoring, injuries, illness, or accidents during the presentations, kata proceedings, score sheets, and also how the hall is generally laid out during a tournament. General information for grading board. Well, we'll look at an overview of it, the evaluation principles, errors in examinations, how to evaluate an error, Dan grading examination scale, difference between kata tournaments and grading examinations. We'll look at the different exam forms for technical and the same thing for the kata. And we will be looking at kata tournaments and rankings. So if we look at an overview for grading boards, we have to ensure that adherence to all rules set forth by the National Grading Board. So we're hoping that all the provincial grading boards have gone through all what the syllabus is asking for, and also the guidelines. The National Grading Board has put out guidelines for the grading boards to follow. So it's important that you are familiar with all this. Establish and implement and enforce minimum standards through Dan ranks in Canada. We want everything to be the same, whether you're getting graded in BC, Manitoba, Ottawa, Ontario, Quebec, or the Maritimes. It's all done the same way. Ensure Dan promotions made by provincial grading committees or territorial grading committees are in accordance with authorities delegated to them. If any situation arises which is not covered by the rules, it shall be dealt with by Judo Canada Grading Committee, and a decision will be made. So if there's anything you're not sure of before a grading or whatever, or how to handle anything, your first reaction should be send an email to the grading board and say, is this okay? Can we do this? Is this allowed? And whatever, okay? So it's very important to do that. Principles. The National Grading Committee is, and you'll note that is now called a National Grading Committee. It's not a commission anymore. So just to put that in your vocabulary. Introducing a new standardized grading evaluation approach that is aligned to Judo Canada's mandate and values to guarantee more consistency in the application of grading standards across the country. Again, it's repeating what I just said before. We want everything to be the same, whether you're one end of the country or the other. The examination jury reserves the right to probe, challenge, discuss any techniques or part of the kata with a candidate before final decision is running. So that means if you had a candidate in front of you and he's done something, it's a demonstrated technique, you have the right to ask him questions about it. Make sure that he understands what he's doing. So far, so good, Kelly?
There, sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Examination error. In the new system, each technique during the evaluation is judged by starting with a full mark of 10. So just like a kata tournament, we start off with 10. All right. So if he's presenting a technique, we'll start by 10 and work down. Judges then conduct for a full 10 points, deduct from the full 10 points when there is any errors or mistakes. And in performing their examinations, which includes the required kata, nage waza, or katame waza, a candidate will be allowed the maximum number of errors. All right, after which they will be deemed to have failed the section of the exam. We'll see that a little later. But if there's only a certain amount of errors with that are supposed to be allowed, whether it's for shodan, nidan, and so forth. How to evaluate an error? To be successful on a technique, a candidate must score 6 points or out of 10 or above. So if he scores anything lower than 6, he's known to fail. Or above of these techniques for at least 2 out of 3 judges. Okay, so your panel of 3, 2 of the 3 judges have to have scored him 6 or above. A failed technique counts as an error. The number of errors allowed by a candidate for a particular Dan examination can be found in the Dan grading exam scales found below. So we'll see that in a few minutes. In Negiwaza or Katamiwaza, a judge must take into consideration the following elements: the Kazushi, Tsukuri, Kake, Taisabaki, Hikite, Tsurite, body position, control, fluidity, realism, Tsugiyashi, Ayumiyashi, Suriyashi, the bowing, the speed of execution, sincerity, carrying weapons, like in Kimi no Kata and Goshin, handling weapons, the Yukimi, Atimi, escapes attempts, etc. All these must be considered when you're evaluating. In one of the previous elements, a small mistake, we deduct 1 point. So this is not the same scoring method as you would do in a kata tournament, but it just gives you a guideline. A medium mistake, you deduct 2 points. And for a big mistake, you deduct 3 points. In kata, a judge must refer to the IGF rules of evaluation. A medium mistake on a technique will mean a deduction of 2 points. A big mistake will mean a deduction of 3 points. This is for a kata, for a grading exam. This is not for the points do not refer to a kata tournament. A forgotten technique is an automatic failure of this section of the examination. In Randori, a candidate is expected to show the elements mentioned in a syllabus lexicon. A candidate needs to be accepted by 2 or more judges to pass this section. So what he has to demonstrate, throwing techniques, going down into groundwork, control, how he escapes, everything else. So he's got to show what his judo is like. Okay, it's not, and remember, it's a randori. They must demonstrate not a shiai, but a randori. So here's a grading scale. So if he, this is the errors accepted per section for a successful exam. Though the maximum for shodan for nagi and katamiwaza is 2. It's maximum 2 errors. That's all he can do. If he does 3, he fails that section. In kata, it's the same thing. And randori, well, 2 out of 3 judges have to say it's fine. Nidan, it's the same thing, 2, 2, and 0. Sandan, then we go a little stricter. For Sandan, Yodan, and Godan, we're looking at 1 mistake for his technical aspect. For Sandan, Yodan, 2 mistakes for each, and Godan 1. In kata, it's for the second kata in Godan, he's only allowed 1 mistake. And if he has to present as a uke, in kata as a yuke, then he's only allowed 1 mistake. Rokudan, this is more for the national board to look at, but in the katas, they're only allowed 1 mistake, and Hachidan, well, 1 mistake for one of the katas they have to do.
Jerry, maybe to add to what you're saying, to be an error, you need 2 of the 3 judges that see it as an error. If only 1 judge sees an error, it's not considered an error in the grid to fail that technique.
I think that's right, Danielle. And Alain just asked almost the same question. She wanted to know 2 mistakes or 2 points.
These
And
are
I
2
think-
mistakes, 2 errors.
Yeah. So, an error is a score of less than 6 by 2 out of the 3 judges.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good.
Okay.
Okay. Difference between kata tournament and grading examination. The point values are different in grading examination than in kata tournament. So I mentioned it a while ago. In a grading, the focus is on the candidate and his role as tori or uke when requested. On a kata tournament, the evaluation includes both tori and uke performance. They are evaluated as a pair. In a grading examination, judges can take into consideration the age, the physical capacity of the candidate. Okay, so which means in a kata tournament, everybody's judged the same way, whether you're 15 years old or 65 years old.
Jerry, one other question that's come up just on the previous point. Jeremy from BC asked, do we count only medium or big mistakes?
Well, the medium or big mistakes, it's the number of points that are taken off. So if you're on their grid and he's got, let's say he's doing Tayatoshi and you're taking off 3 points because of a big mistake, and then he has another mistake in there and he takes another 2 points, that's 5 points. That's below 6. So that technique is an error.
Yeah.
Does that answer Jeremy's question? Or?
I think so. Alan's asked, mistakes can't go below 6.
Not on kata, but not on the grading. This is grading.
So
grading
I think,
go below 6.
Yeah. So I think what you have to do for grading purposes, excuse me, focus on whether you want to call it mistake or error, but it's not just if a candidate makes one mistake, but it's then the marking of that. So if 2 out of the 3 judges see a score of less than 6, which could be one very large error or several ones coming all together, that's what you're looking for. As Alan Takahashi just said, sometimes the word error is misleading. Some people use error, some people use mistake. Look at the global score for that by 2 out of 3 judges, and that will give you the guidance.
Exactly.
For us, grading wise, an error is any technique under 6. And everybody has mistakes. It can be a small mistake, a medium, or a big, but when you add these deduction together and you're under 6, that is an error.
And we also have to look at these items we looked at before, right? When we talked about, if I go back here, it's not all these points we were looking at, Kuzushi, Tsukuri, Keke, Tayasabaki, etc. This is what, if they haven't got any of these are missing components, and this is where we take points off. Everything okay with that? Kelly?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll continue. So this is the Tachiwaza, what a form looks like. On this form here, there's 4 exams. So the people at the table will pick which exam they want to ask the candidate, and they will score the technique regarding this. You notice that the pointed line is right after 5. So as long as they stay to the right of the pointed line, they're fine. What is important here too is to write comments down, to keep reasoning, because if you have to go back 2 weeks later to say, and to look why this person has failed, if you don't write any comments down, you won't remember. Nobody, as far as I know, I mean, I don't, but I don't have an eidetic memory, and I have to write things down. So, so make sure that you write down your comments. Make sure you take notes. It's important. And at the end, you write down your results. And you write pass or fail. I would suggest also that the members of the grading board sign these sheets and that to so that we know who they belong to, so we know who to ask questions to it after the grading. So that's for This is another exam. This is for the technique, the Newaza or the Katamiwaza. Again, the same thing. You would pick the number of techniques you need to ask, whether it's for Osaiwaza, Shimiwaza, or Kansetsuwaza. And again, indicating whether they, from your concern, if they pass or not. And then at the end, you look, all the three judges look and they say, okay, I marked fail, I passed, and candidate is either passed or fail.
And Jerry, Alain just asked, does the grading panel pick which number to use?
Yep. Yeah, they pick. Yeah, the grading, the three judges will say, okay, today we're doing exam on this candidate, we'll do exam number 1. Next candidate, okay, we'll do exam number 4, whatever that way. And the same thing for the Newaza part. Can you just hang on for a second? I got a technical problem.
Okay, let's to continue what Jerry was going to say. If Osaiwaza, you need to have 3 Osaiwaza technique. The panel chooses which 3 from the list. They will be asking the candidate. Same for Shimewaza, same for Kansetsuwaza.
Exactly. I'm back. Sorry about that. So that, yeah, that's exactly what you do. So it's the panel that decides which one of these techniques they'll be asking.
Yeah.
Again, write down comments. Again, make sure they're clear in that, so that if you have to go back and to say why you failed somebody, especially why you failed somebody, you can remember.
Yeah. And Jerry, a couple of questions in from the chat. Alan asked, do we use only the published exams rather than the grading boards coming up with their own?
No, this is the ones that you have to use, that the grading board has established, right, Danielle?
Yes, sir.
You must use these exams.
Well, you know, the grading committee decided to do exams for you, so the only thing you have to do is to print those sheets.
And then just a question from Keith in BC, just I think primarily focused towards the exam of today. Did everyone receive this information? Is the grading board information a separate portion of this clinic, and are we to be tested on this information?
No, you'll be tested only on the evaluation for kata judges. This is just specifically for kata, for grading board members only, and it's just for their information. But the exam will be based on a kata tournament and not on this part. Right, Danielle?
Right, and according to the IGF rule book on how to evaluate the kata.
Yeah. So I hope everybody brushed up on the IGF rule books and technical package, so that because the exam is based on that and not on the grading syllabus.
Yeah. And just a few questions on clarification. Alain asked, just in the example we've got on the screen, is purple number 2. I think what Alain's asking is a second exam.
No, it's not a second exam. It's just more techniques. You can go, I'm going to take the right-hand side. I'm going to take the 3 first techniques, and that's what we're going to ask. So that's all you have, you know, or the 3 last techniques, or on the left-hand side, the same thing. Or I'll take the 2 bottom ones on the left and the top one on the right, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what we did on those grid is we enter for Shodan all the Osaiwaza technique that you can ask them, that are in the syllabus. You will find them in the appendix at the end. So we put all of them. If you have to choose 3, then you pick up the 3 from the list on the right and the left side.
And Alan also asked whether then some techniques would never be tested. But I think we've got all of the techniques from the syllabus in at various points in the exam. So it's just, they may not be asked of a candidate at that time, but they're always available to be asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
good. This is what the kata Nagano kata sheet looks like. Again, you judge it pretty well the same way you would judge it, because you will all be national judges. You should judge it the same way as you would judge a kata tournament. And I'll keep it simple for you. Again, here you can write comments. So I would write comments, problem with Kuzushi or whatever you you want to write. The only other thing that's down here is, if you look on the bottom, general elements, you also can make comments on his judogi, on the bowing, on the tsugiyashi, yumiyashi, shiko, depending on what you're doing, what in that, and all the rest of the things, and make comments also. If he comes in with a judogi that's not clean or too short, or if he's not bowing properly, these are all points, in the kata, whether, that you should be commented on also. And again, you should sign as a judge. So you can go back, but very important again, and I'm not going to stress this enough, you should write down comments so that we all know if we go back a few weeks from that, after the exam, what to say. Good?
Good.
Okay, kata tournaments. Now we're going into the tournament part of it. In each of the 5 katas, the couple with the highest score will be awarded the gold medal. The couple with the next highest score will be awarded a silver medal. And the couple with the 3rd highest score will be awarded the bronze medal. Okay, so that's basically, I think, general information that everybody knows, or should, I think. Kata Grading Board Judges Guidelines. Here we're going to look at the obligations of a kata judge, official uniform, recommendation for judges, code of conduct and ethics, and briefing and debriefing. A judge must be a member of Judo Canada, okay, in good standing. A judge must have a required knowledge of the field of the kata, especially the kata they're judging, and in the understanding of the techniques. A judge must know the evaluation rules in their entirety. So what we try and do is, prior to a kata tournament, if you're asked to judge, we do try and tell you what katas you will be judging so that you can go back to your notes, you go over the rules and regulations, so you just bring yourself back up to par, so that you're because of memory is something that faculty that forgets things. So just to help you, just brush up on your notes. A judge must keep his knowledge of evaluation up to date by participating in clinics. So if you're a judge and you should participate in all the clinics you can get that they're available, or as many as you can. In the last year and a half since the pandemic, Kelly has been very good at holding seminars every Sunday morning, and a lot of judges have been there, but some judges haven't. So it is good to be and go over the katas and get yourself up to par and everything else. A judge must be thoroughly prepared for each judging assignment. As a member of an official organization, there is an obligation for every judge to maintain the highest standards of ethics, ethical conduct, and professional integrity. By definition, a judge is unbiased. Okay, as much as possible, we are there to judge and make the person that should win. That's the person who should be on the top of the podium. Official uniform for competitors or candidates, white judogi, back numbers according for competitors to IGF rules. In Canada, if it's a national tournament, we don't emphasize on this because we haven't got into that aspect of it. So if you come up with no back patch, you will not be evaluated because you haven't got one. But black belt, you should be 20 to 30 centimeters. And white t-shirt for women. And that's not one with a V-neck, but that's one with a up to the collar.
Crew neck.
Crew neck, yeah. So you're not, no plunging necklines.
One thing we added in the syllabus that was not there before, was not allowed before, to have a candidate wear a back number. So for sure, for a grading exam or a tournament, the candidate or the competitors must wear a white judogi. We won't go back to the judo roots, which is white. So candidates must wear a white judogi, but there's no issue no more with wearing a back numbers.
So which means if the candidate who's a competitor comes for grading and he's wearing a back number, it won't be held against him. Is that correct, Daniel?
Exactly, monsieur.
Thank you. Kata judges wear a navy or a black jacket, a navy blue or black jacket, dark gray trousers, white shirt. Women can, if you want to wear a skirt, that's fine. Kata judge tie, black shoes and socks. So basically, if you're a referee, you're pretty well okay. A judge must know the latest adaptation and interpretation of the IGF kata competition rules. A judge must update their knowledge. Okay, so every year the IGF kata commission goes through the rules and everything else, and every now and then they bring in, you know, after studying different things, it's just bring in a new rules. So you have to make sure you're kept up to date with everything. A judge must contribute to the development of the activity and the training of future judges by assuming a leadership role in the national and continental programs of kata judges. A judge must be an active and cooperative member in the missions entrusted to him or her. Good?
Good.
Code of conduct. Judges are representatives of Judo Canada both on and off the contest area. It is essential that they always conduct themselves in an exemplary manner. A judge must be a professional, have a professional attitude and conduct. A judge must have a neat appearance. A judge must appear, sorry about that, I just can't read. At the times of defined at all events in which they are invited and available during the entire event. So if you're asked to be a judge, if you're going to be there, you must acknowledge that you're going to be there, and you must also, when you come, you must be near the tables, ready to act and to judge or be available for any task that are asked by you. A judge must attend all meetings where they will get explanations about the rules and the event information. Judges who do not participate in the meetings exclude themselves from the event. So if you're asked to be a judge and for some reason you're not at the meeting in the morning for the briefing, you could be excluded from judging the kata. A judge who cannot respect their commitment must notify the president or the sports director of the kata committee in writing before the event. The request must be motivated by exceptional reasons. To preserve its integrity, a judge must remain in the zone reserved for judges and not to have contact with competitors, coaches, or public. All right, so if you're judging during the whole of the tournament, prior, during, after, you're to stay with the judges, and you're not to mingle with the competitors or the judges or the other the coaches and the public. A judge is responsible for protecting the spirit of judo by rendering fair and impartial decisions. To remain free of any bias, it is recommended that a judge refuse any assignments as coach or manager of a team engaged in competition. So if you're judging, you cannot coach and you cannot manage a kata team. Okay, you have to give that task to somebody else.
And we're talking about the kata competition.
Yes.
If the next day you're coaching the shiai competition, it's a different story. You can take that assignment. But during the kata tournament, if you're a judge, you must be dedicated only to that function.
Exactly. While evaluating, a judge must not look at other judges' evaluations. Only in the case of forgotten techniques, a consultation must be done by the members of the same jury table after the performance. So if you're judging a kata, and there's a technique that was forgotten, only at that time will the center judge or the responsible judge get everybody together just to make sure everybody's on the same page on that forgotten technique, so that everybody notes it the same way. And but other than that, at the end of every kata presentation, the sheets are gathered and given to the data entry people. So, but that's the only time you can discuss between each other. If you're evaluating a kata, you look straight ahead. There's too many cameras around that looking at you, looking for a judge that's going to be looking at everywhere else but what his job is supposed to do, what his or her job is supposed to do. You look ahead, you judge, you take your notes, and you mark your X's, and that's it. At the end of the kata presentation, all the sheets are gathered, give them out, and ready to look at the second presentation.
And what Jerry said, it's you, in case of a forgotten technique, it's only at the end of the performance from that team, then there's a consultation. If they forget the technique, you don't start consulting each other before the next technique. You wait that the performance is over.
Exactly. A judge must, during the event, present themselves in the best conditions of physical or moral health, avoiding any excess that could harm their mission. So if you've been out drinking the night before and you smell like you
Lilac.
just maybe excuse yourself for that day and say you're not feeling well. Briefing and debriefing. The general briefing, daily briefing before a competition is always done. In the daily briefing, there will also be information regarding the first aid, where the first aid is, where the toilets are. The bar, here we're talking about the lunch bar and not the whiskey bar, and where the lunch will be held. Debriefing, after the award ceremony, there will be a period of after the competition of eventual technical organizational communication. So it'll be a light debriefing. Usually it's not very long. Usually thanking everybody for being there, asking if there's any problems, any questions or anything else. And then and only after that can you join everybody else. Note contact with the competitors or coaches when you are in judging functions or reserve. Okay, reserve meaning to say there's always somebody ready to replace somebody at the table if the need is there. Kata scoring. So we're going to look at the Kata results. This is where the interested for you people for your exam. So what's a forgotten technique? What's a big mistake? What's a medium mistake? Correctional value, point systems, and total results. So Kata results. The results for one pair is a sum of the score of each technique. So in the kata, each technique is evaluated, and we're evaluating the pair and not the individual. So you must wait in the result, like in Nagano kata, you will evaluate both right and left before you finish marking down for that technique, the score. Technique result, the highest and lowest score will be for each technique will be canceled. So this is done by the program. The program will by itself take off the highest and the lowest score, not necessarily from the same judge or whatever. It's done aléatoire. It's done
Randomly.
Randomly. Thank you. Okay, so but it's a program that does this. It's not people putting in the scores. It's this program that takes off the highest and lowest score.
And Jerry, Ellen has just asked a follow-up question on one thing you just briefly mentioned. For Nagano kata, are the left and right techniques scored separately?
No, they're done the same, both together. So you let the right and then left, and then after that you score the technique. They're not separate. It's the only kata because we do right and left. That is done. We have to judge both of them on the same technical value. That answer, Ellen?
Does that do it, Ellen? And then one point just to be clear for that. So say uki-otoshi, Nagano kata, they'll do it left and they'll do it right. And you give them a score of 7. That's not 7 for the left and 7 for the right equals 14. It's 7 for both left and right together, as Jerry was saying. Okay.
Okay. So a forgotten technique, okay. Forgotten technique is something that's omitted. You forgot, you didn't do the technique, all right? So that would be a forgotten technique. You come in reverse starting positions. In opening ceremony, each following technique is a big mistake. So that means if you come on the mat and in Nagano kata, Tori's on the right side, Uki's on the left side, but you reverse the positions. That is a forgotten technique. So right away for the opening ceremony, you will start off with a 0. Okay, so you get a big F, or where we'll see the sheets later on. That's where the X goes. Changes in sequence of the technique. So if you're doing Goshinjutsu or Kimi no Kata and you reverse your positions, that is also a sequence of a forgotten technique. Okay, or any kata, as a matter of fact. maximum 1x. And again, the x will show you when you see the sheet, you will notice that you will see what we mean by an x.
Yeah, across.
Across. So, so on forgotten technique, sorry if I go back just here a second. Forgotten technique, if I look at the general elements in the thing, it says on the omitted technique, we'll score 0 in addition to the total final score of the kata. Kappa will be divided in half. So, and this, what it's saying is that at the end of the day, at the bottom, when a total score is given, the program will automatically divide that score into half. Okay. If more than one technique is forgotten, the score will for that technique will also be 0, but the total score of the couple will not be divided in half again. So the half score is only done once at the end, whether you have 1 forgotten techniques or 3 forgotten techniques. It's only divided only once in half. A big mistake. The execution of a principle of the technique is incorrect or wrong. Okay. In the reverse position of Tori and Yuki, each technique after that is a big mistake because they're in the wrong position. If you lose control of a technique, so you throw somebody and you drop them, you don't control them all the way down, that is a big mistake. If you lose your belt, well, for each mistake that you've lost your belt, it's a big mistake. If you lose a weapon, and each technique has a kimi no kata or kodokan goshin jutsu. If you're attacking with the knife and the knife drops out of your hand and flies across the floor, that is a big mistake. You perform a technique twice on the same side as Nage no kata. So you're doing Ippon Tsunagi and you throw Ippon Tsunagi right, and when you come back for the left, you throw right again. That is a big mistake. And again, 1 cross or 1x.
And Jerry, just on the one question that came up. So if Tori and Uke do say the right-hand side perfectly, but then make a big mistake on the left-hand side, you still have a big mistake in your overall evaluation.
Of that technique, yes.
Correct.
Yep. Correct.
And I suppose just for clarification for everyone, Jeremy from BC has asked on the meaning, what does it mean for the principle of the technique? So,
well, if you're supposed to do ukigoshi and you do ogoshi, or if you're supposed to do harai goshi and you do hani goshi, it's the principle of the technique that's not the right one. It's not the right technique that's being executed.
Yeah. Jeremy says, okay. Très bien.
Big mistake. So again, if we look at what's written, it's written when the execution of the principle is incorrect, 5 points are deducted. So you know that right away, 5 points are deducted, and you're starting off with half the marks off. So, and then that doesn't count the rest of the points that could be taken off because of kuzushi or anything else. Medium mistake. The starting position, your starting position is you're too far from the starting position. The distance between you and Uki, if you're not at the proper distance, it's a big mistake. It's a medium mistake, sorry. The bow, if you don't bow correctly, it's a medium mistake. The correct way, 1 or more elements of the principles of the technique are not applied in the correct way. Kuzushi, tsukuri, kake, whatever. That's a medium, could be a medium mistake. Effectiveness, realism, fluidity in each technique. Okay, and this is for every one of them. Every one of the techniques that is taken into consideration. It's a medium mistake if it's not there. Losing protection or bandages. If you've got a bandage on your elbow or something, or it unravels and it falls, that's automatically a medium mistake. Losing protection and bandage, okay, this will be taken off in the closing ceremony only, okay? Your judogi, your obi, your belt, t-shirt, or back number in opening closing ceremony is considered a medium mistake, okay? So
maybe to be clear on the back number, we're talking about kata tournaments. So a team that shows up and one of the two competitors doesn't have a back number. That's a medium mistake for the pair in the opening and the closing ceremony.
And believe me, that has happened in a tournament where even the Japanese team came up and one of the guys showed up without his back number. And that's why they didn't win first place.
Worlds.
At the Worlds, yep. So, so anyway, so everybody okay with that? And in a small mistake, well, you will notice under small mistake, there's, instead of having just one column, you can put one X, there's two small columns under there that you can put up to 2 X's. And this is, small mistake is some imperfections in the application of the technique, okay, where 1 point is taken off or whatever. You can do a maximum of 2 X's, which would be 2 points taken off automatically, okay? So that's pretty relevant. So if you're looking at a score sheet here, we also have correction values. All right, and a correction value is a 0.5 that the judge can evaluate and say, well, I think, yeah, it's okay, but I'll give him a +5 because I think he did a good job, or I think his techniques were okay, or a minus where I think it's missing something. It's missing something. So you can put a plus or a minus, but you don't have to. It's not not an obligation. Okay. So that's left to the discretion of the judge. Okay. So a score evaluation of each technique, judge can give a correction value of plus or minus. And again, this is up to his to decide what he's going to do. And again, no obligation to do so. You don't have to put one in there. Okay. Maximum score for each technique is 10 points. That's all, okay. Minimum score for each technique is 1 point if there is no forgotten technique. So if there's a forgotten technique, it's automatically 0. So that's the only time that there will be a 0. Otherwise, you cannot give less than 1 point. 0 is the only forgotten technique. A total score is divided by 2 once the presentation is done. The total score for is only divided by 2 if all judges agree on the forgotten technique. So again, that's why at the end of the presentation that we mentioned a while ago, all the judges get together, make sure that they're all on the same page with this. And then after that, they all write down its forgotten technique. And only once this is done, that when it's entered into the program, that the computer will automatically give it half a score.
Jerry, we've got a good question from Chris, and it's probably a difference between being a kata judge in a tournament versus being a kata judge at a grading.
Right.
Chris asks, whenever adding or subtracting a correction value, are we obliged to provide a justification?
No, not in a kata tournament. In a grading tournament, I would write down why you're taking off points, just if you have to go back and somebody makes a complaint, a formal complaint or whatever, that you can look at the score sheet and say, okay, this is why it was done. But if you notice in the kata, there's no places to write any comments or anything.
And for grading, there is no adding or subtracting correction value.
Yeah,
it's only for kata tournaments.
Ah,
exactly.
So then for I received a question just on chat, just on that point. So the form that we're looking at right now on the screen for grading, that's just grading for a kata tournament, but we wouldn't be using that form for showdown grading.
That's right, exactly. It's 2 different forms.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
All right. So here we look at the point system. So a while ago, we talked about the maximum score is 10. So if you look at the opening ceremony here, you notice that the judge didn't take any marks off. Okay, so the guy had a perfect score and he also gave him a plus. Well, it wouldn't, the program would not give him 10.5. It would only give him 10. Okay, because we cannot score higher than 10. Okay, where if you look at Sumigeshi, okay, if you add up the points, all right, he's taken off 1 small point, 3, which makes 4, and then 9 with 5 with a big mistake. And then he's got, so this would give him a 0.5 score, but we can't go lower than 1. So the program will give him only a 1, not a 0.5 score. Okay. Only forgotten techniques, total score divided by 2. So if he's got 0 here for closing ceremony, let's say, then at the end, it will be divided by 2.
And Jerry, just Alana asked a question. As part of your PowerPoint today, do we include the forms that we would use as grading?
Yeah, we have further up.
Okay, there you go, Alana. It's coming.
No, if you look further up here that we've already gone through, this is for grading. These forms are for grading that we've seen. That's for Newaza. This is for Tachiwaza. Okay. And this is the kata form for grading.
There we go. Okay.
All right. So this is where you would write comments down. But where in a kata tournament, you don't write comments down.
Right.
And just can I ask the question? So
sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. So like on this one,
yep,
there is no like a big mistake, medium mistake, or small mistake. So we have to do the calculation by ourselves, right? We just do, we evaluate to 6 because it was like 1 big mistake and one small mistake, and it would be like 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would give 7 to every score, and as long as everything's on the right hand of the letting points here, the pointed line. If everything's on that side, then maybe, except for maybe 1 or 2 techniques, you would say you would pass, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, and the evaluation that we're going to do today is going to be based on the competition one or the
competition one. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then Jerry, just a clarification point. Dave Miller asked whether a big mistake is 0.
No. A big mistake in a kata tournament. All right. Big mistake is 5 points.
Right. Sorry, I now remember that the 0 is only for a forgotten mistake.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So this is what the total results look at. This is at the World Championships in Olbia, Italy. But this is the way the score sheet comes out. This is just for your own personal information. All right. So Japan came in first at 409.5, and then the rest came in number order after that. And we can produce the same thing in Canada for a kata tournament also. It's the same program that we use as a world's view, so it's not a problem.
Why it's so high? Because if it's 10 points per technique, like the Nagano kata is 15 techniques, should be at 150, no?
No, but if you look for the judges,
3 judges.
Oh,
it's what
okay.
Got it? So if there's any injuries, illness, or accidents during the kata presentation, when a Tori Uki is unable to continue because of injury, illness, or accident during the execution of a kata, the pair will be considered out of the tournament. Okay, so if there's an injury, they get hurt or anything, for some reason, shoulder dislocated, a broken arm, broken leg, or whatever, then we take them out of the tournament. They're considered out of the tournament. In the case where there's a minor injury, like a bloody wound, a broken nail, a bloody nose, or a problem with a contact lens, or according to the decision of the judges, so the judges all agree, okay, fine, the kata execution will be stopped, and the athletes will be assisted by a doctor or a sports therapist out of the competition area. The competition will continue, and the pair will repeat entire kata after the tournament schedule, after the last pair have presented their presentation. Okay, so we will allow them to pull themselves out, get fixed up, and come back and redo everything at that time as of scratch, as of 0. In the case where there's another injury happens to the same athletes during the second execution of the kata, the pair will be considered out of the competition. Okay, so if they get hurt again, minor injury, whatever, then we'll just eliminate them out of the tournament. Now, in the case where a minor injury happens after a forgotten technique, the pair will be considered out of the tournament. Okay? It's not because they got a forgotten technique. Oh, I got a hurt. I broke a nail or something, and they have to start over. No, no, that's been considered. They don't get that chance to start over again because they forgot a technique.
As a competitor, I'm still upset about this.
My heart bleeds for you, Kelly. Okay. So kata proceedings, well, we're going to talk about the opening ceremony, the different katas, and closing ceremonies. So when you're looking at a kata on the opening ceremonies, we look at the jogi, the belt, the back numbers, the t-shirt, and if there's something not right, then it's a medium mistake. That's taken out. The starting distance from 8 or 10 millimeters, starting distance from the line. This could be meters, sorry, 8 to 10 meters. It's either a small or to medium mistake. And what we look at a small medium mistake is a distance. Say if it's only a few meters, a few centimeters off, or if it's a meter off, that'll vary on whether it's a small or medium mistake. Movement to 6 meters. Again, how close are you to the 6 meters or not will be depend if you get a small or medium mistake. The bow, how you do your bow, where it's done, etc. If it's not done properly or at the right place, it's a medium mistake. And again, movement to 4 meters could be a small or medium mistake if, like is in Juno Kata, let's say, where you move after you step in to 4 meters. Again, this could be, if you're not at the right place, it could be a small or medium mistake. In Nage no Kata, which is what primarily you want to look at today, again, movement, how you walk into to start the kata. If when you're doing a yumiashi or when you're doing tsugiashi, the position that could be from a small to medium mistake. The position of tori, if he's at the right position, he's at the right place, it's a medium. It could be a medium mistake. The distance of uke, when uke is in position, whether he's 30, 60, or 90 to 200 centimeters, it's a medium mistake if it's not the right position. Action reaction between both, is it a small or medium mistake? Results of ukemi and tori releases, it could be a small to medium mistake. So all this is you have to consider when you're looking at the general information on Nage no Kata. Katame no Kata, it's basically the same thing. The movement to the start of the position of uke, is he in the right place? Is he at the center of the mat? Could be a medium mistake. Distance between tori from toma to chikama. All right, is it a medium mistake? Action reaction, small to medium mistake. And the results, uke gives up and tori releases. Could be a small or medium mistake. Juno Kata, again, the way you're moving, you're sliding, or a yumiashi or tsugiashi, could be small to medium. Your position has tori, could be a medium mistake. The distance of uke, a medium mistake. Action reaction, small, medium. Results, uke gives up and tori releases. If it's not done properly, it's a small or medium mistake.
Jerry, Jeremy has asked, I think, a good question, because of course in our evaluation here we've got, excuse me, a mistake could be small or medium. And Jeremy has asked for the exam, can we put 2 answers, small / or medium?
In the exam, it's going to be really specific on what the error is. So it'll either be a small or a medium mistake. Yeah. There won't be any ambiguity, whatever. Is that okay, Jeremy?
He says okay.
But I'm sure the question she's asking, everybody's asking, so it's not a problem.
Absolutely.
In Kimi no Kata, movements, the sliding again, how it tori uke walk or whatever. Position of tori, distance of uke, action reaction, kiai. Just for your knowledge, if kiai is supposed to be given and it's not given, I believe it's 3 points that are taken off. And if you give a KI where it shouldn't be given, it's 1 point. That is taken off. That's for your personal knowledge. Results, Uki gives up and Tori releases the same thing, small or medium mistake. And Kodokan Goshin Jutsu, basically the same thing. Movements, natural positions, small to medium. Tori's position, medium. Distance for Uki, medium. Action of Uki and reaction to Tori, the ki is the same thing. Results, Uki gives up and Tori releases, depending how it's done. If it's not done properly, it could be a small or medium mistake. Closing ceremony, movements to 4 meters, movements to 6 meters, could be small to medium. The bow again, movements to 8 or 10 meters, small or medium. The judogi, the belt, the back number, the t-shirt, again, it could be a medium mistake. If we look at the score sheet, as a judge, when you receive your score sheet, the first thing you got to make sure is that your name is on it, okay, that you have the proper name, that the athletes that you are going to evaluate are the proper athletes and the country, okay? So that's what the first thing you look at. If there is a mistake, you right away bring it to the attention of the head judge so that it could all be corrected before the tournament starts, okay, in case the pages have been mixed up or for some reason or whatever. Or even the athletes have come up when they're not supposed to come up and somebody else is supposed to be there. So if we look after an evaluation of each technique according to IGF rules, enter the crosses or the X's for each technique when mistakes arise. So you see, if you look under small mistake, there's 2 columns. So you can put an X in each one. All right, if 2 small mistakes and you put an X in each one, not 2 in the same square, please. Again, I repeat this because at every tournament almost, there's at least one person I have to go back, or we have to go back and say only 1 X per square. All right. So you make sure you write this down. You also if you want to put an evaluation in for plus or minus, you make sure that it's clear when you do your thing. Okay. Make sure that you put in a plus or a minus, that the people entering the scores know exactly what you're writing. Okay. If not, if we're not sure, it could slow down the tournament because we will have to go back and say, is this a plus or a minus? And again, this is not something that, especially at an IGF level, we should not see this, but on a national level, we shouldn't see it either.
And we decided to use a cross or an X instead of a check, because it's clear when it's an X. A check, sometimes we know if the person is spent did touch the square or not, the box. So with a cross or an X, we know exactly the intent of the judge.
Right. So should you make a mistake and you want to erase your score because you say, okay, it's not that bad, it's not a big mistake, you must circle the score and initial beside it and give the proper score. Okay. So make sure that's done, because if you don't do this, again, the people putting in the scores into the program are not going to second guess you. And if you don't do this and there's just an X there, they're going to put in that cross or that X into that spot. So if you want to eliminate it, you black it out completely, initial it that we know it's you that did it, and that, so that the proper score is given.
And Jerry, a question from Jeremy, and it's something from your experience as a judge you'd be able to comment on. Jeremy asked, how can we have a plus when the athlete is doing a big mistake?
Because the judge feels generous.
Maybe I can try to answer, Jerry. When the judge sees that the overall value of that technique was still good, he can give that plus.
Yeah.
So yes, he made a big mistakes and so on, but
yeah, you notice that there's no other mistakes taken off. So as a judge, I would probably give a +2 because that he made a mistake, but everything else is okay. So we'll give him a +2. Because the rest of it is okay. Mm-hmm. So that would give him a 5.5. but it's a good question.
Yeah.
But like I say, it depends on the judge, you know, I mean, you don't have to put a score, you know, you could have left it blank. You know, and probably other judges would have looked at the same thing at the table and not put anything in. Or maybe another judge might have put a minus there. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And
course.
the correction value came up from the judges. They all said that sometimes they found that the candidate was a little bit better or worse than the score they gave. So in 2017, we started to add the correction value to the score sheet.
so if we look at the hall layout, this is basically what a hall layout on an IGF tournament looks like. You have the candidates, you have the judges on the bottom. You also have the replacement judges that are there to take that, you know, for the mat areas. You also have you notice that the number 3 is in red, and that's because it's the head judge that is there, that is in the middle at all times. So, but it also indicates to the judges where the flags are held, where the podium's going to be, where they go for lunch and everything else. So, and the first day where the first aid is also. So before starting the kata competition, the judges are all on the edge of the mat, ready on one line facing the spectators. The head judge of the tournament is in the middle and gives the ray, and the same is done at the end of the competition. Okay.
And Jerry, I just got a question on the lines on the mat. I think in the examples here that you've got. Can you talk about that? I think it's not the line, the tapes.
Yeah, those are the positions that we mark down at every tournament, where the start of the tournament could be. It's 6 meters, okay, and this is where your edges, where you're going to do your bow, your main bow before starting tournament. So that's where you're going to be when you bow to the joseki, and then you bow to each other, and then you step in from there. That's where the tournament is done inside that. The middle one is just to give guidance so that you know where the center is. Okay, and this is on every mat, and this is at all the tournaments, whether it's a national tournament or whether it's a regional tournament, it should be done like that, or whether it's an international tournament, PJC or IJF. It's the tape is down on the mat to help you in your, and it also helps the judges to make sure that everybody sees the same thing. So it's good for the competitors and it's good for the judges.
I got the question, should there be the tapes down for grading as well?
I don't see why not, personally. Danielle, do you see a problem?
I don't see a problem. I even see it could be an asset. When I do grading, and maybe because I'm a former kata competitor, I like to see the tapes. That gives me my position on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
I know for the gradings that have been done here, we've always put tapes down. So I don't see why it would be a problem anywhere.
Yeah, when Jerry says here, he means Quebec.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Yeah.
In fact, about the only time that I haven't seen it done is at the Kodokan, when you go for the summer camp and then you do the kata competition. They don't put tapes down. You're just supposed to know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so at IGF tournaments, PGAC, national tournaments here in Canada, and that we always put tapes down. And we don't move the mats.
That was a shot directly aimed at me, which we don't need to go in further.
Yep, that's right. So now, and when the judges move from positions, it's on the left-hand side of the table. So one, the table facing the public by Ray, head judge, the bow. So when the candidates present themselves, the head judge, which is in the middle, number 3, gets up, spreads his hands out, indicating to the competitors that the judges are ready to evaluate the kata. All right. So the judges take place at the table from the left-hand side. The competitors left and right behind the mat. So start, the head judge, standing position, opens, arms open, and the same bow at the break and at the end of the kata. So when the table is finished, there's no more competitors. The judges get out, step out behind the chairs, and they all bow to close the tournament on that mat. Okay, and it's the same thing at the beginning of the tournament. The judges do a bow in for themselves to start off the tournament. Over and above, at the beginning, where they all the judges bow to the spectators and to the competitors all together. Award layout. Well, here we have 3 or more rows. You have the each kata facing the podium and medals facing the flags for the national anthem, and also where the debriefing is going to be. So that's